I'm seeing if they respond. Saad's writing, so let me see what he's saying here.
So otherwise, I don't know how to find the.
Let me go to my YouTube. See if it will come up. Oh, there we go. Okay, I see you. Yes, it's good.
Yeah, you can see me, yeah? And you can see the slides.
I can see you.
And I see the slides.
Can you maybe do something?
Can you see the slides?
I can see you, yeah. I can't see the slides though.
Can you see them now?
Yeah, I can move your hand. I don't see the slide.
You should be able to see them now.
No, I don't see slides.
You just see me.
Yeah, I just see you.
Okay, let me turn my camera off. Can you see the slides now? Can you see anything now? Just nothing.
I just see the main restream like.
Wants to share the content. Choose. Okay. So I'm doing clicking share, but you can't see it. It's weird because it says Studio 8 Restream is sharing a window. You can't see the slides. Abdullah, you there? Abdullah? Assalamu alaikum. Can anybody see to see where's this chat? Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, I lost. Assalamu alaikum.
Sorry.
So I just lost you. I lost you. You still can't see the slides?
Oh yes, I cannot see.
Okay, you should be able to see them now, right?
Let me hit play. Sorry, it disconnected.
There we go. I can see them.
Yes, there we go. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, yeah,
I see the slides.
Great.
I'll get off.
Okay. Okay. Apologize those listening. So, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. بسم الله. So here is we're on nawaqid al-wudu, things that break wudu. So what do we know? Generally across the madhahib, what breaks wudu? So we know going to the bathroom. We know something that's like going to the bathroom, going to sleep. Why is going to sleep like going to the bathroom? Which is because when you go to sleep, you don't know what happens, what comes out of you. So it's the similar kind of thing. Other things like bleeding, vomiting, touching your private parts, according to the majority of the ulama. And so this verse, it says, أَوْ جَاءَ أَحَدُكُم مِّنَ الْغَائِطِ, or one of you comes from the low place, i.e. where you relieve yourself. So the verse right in the beginning mentions that when you stand up and you get up to pray, you're asleep. You were asleep, right? And so you were asleep. That means you didn't have wudu. So the verse mentions sleep as one of the things that breaks wudu, as you don't have wudu. And then the verse mentions that you need to make tayammum, but when you want to make wudu, but you've just come from the low place, you just come from the place where you relieved yourself. So filth coming out of your body, like bleeding, like urinating, like defecating, right? And that which the Sharia has treated like that, like passing wind and falling asleep, right? The Sharia has treated that as something coming out of you. And then similarly, what's similar to sleep, losing consciousness, going under general anesthetic, being in a coma, for example, all of these things break your wudu. So أَوْ جَاءَ أَحَدُكُم مِّنَ الْغَائِطِ. But then the verse continues, أَوْ لَامَسْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ. So the author here doesn't mention it in this book here, but the verse continues, أَوْ لَامَسْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ. So according to, again, the majority of the ulama, touching the opposite sex with lust breaks your wudu as well. So we have defecating, urinating, bleeding, vomiting, all the filth coming out of you in general. What else? Things that the Sharia has treated like that, like passing wind, like sleeping, lose your consciousness, etc. And then the only thing basically not mentioned in the verse is touching your private parts. Why? That's mentioned in hadith, right? But otherwise, everything else is in the verse of the Quran, directly or indirectly. So then it says, باب الغسل, the chapter of ghusl, is الآية الأولى, قال الله تعالى وإن كنتم جنبا فطهروا. And if you are in janaba, if you are in major ritual impurity, meaning you've had an ejaculation, or you've a woman who's finished a menses, or a woman who has been slept with, or a woman who has who's just given birth, etc., then you have to make ghusl, you have to wash your whole body. So how does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala express it? Allah expresses it in a very intense way. It says فَطَّهَّرُوا. فَطَّهَّرُوا. Notice the two shaddas in the word. Notice the two shaddas in the word. فَطَّهَّرُوا. It's quite difficult to say. Those two shaddas reflect the diligence and care one should take when you're making ghusl, right? Most people don't make ghusl 5 times a day, right? Most people don't make ghusl 5 times a day. And so ghusl is harder and is stricter than wudu, right? You have to be more careful. You have to make sure that, for example, you wash inside your beard, you have to wash inside your armpits, between your legs, for example, making sure that everything that's outside gets washed, right? And so you have to be diligent about that. And so the ulama, they disagree. Well, how diligent do you have to be? Do you have to wash inside your nose here and inside your mouth? Is that part of the outside, or is that part of the inside? Right. So the Shafi'is, they say no, it's not part of the outside. So if you stood under the shower and didn't open your mouth and didn't get any water in your nose, it'd be fine, right? But according to Hanafis, no, you have to make sure you wash inside your nose and your mouth, because that's considered outside. Right, so you have to be careful. And so one of the murajjihat, one of the strengthening positions of the Hanafis, just one side of it, is the sound of the verse is diligently and carefully purify itself. Right, the feel of it gives a sense that you should be careful and make sure you wash every single thing. الآية الثانية and also the Malikis, you have to do delk. So you can't just put your hand under the water, you have to do delk. This is called delk. Pass your hand over your body. قال الله تعالى ولا جنبا إلا عابر سبيل حتى تغتسلوا. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says regarding ghusl that you should not what's the verse? You said what's just before that? 43. Just before it says 40. So it says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا, O you who have believed, لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى. Do not come close to the prayer when you are drunk. Right? At that time it was permissible to drink. حتى تعلموا ما تقولون, until you know what you're saying. ولا جنبا إلا عابر سبيل حتى تغتسلوا, and not in janaba. So that tells us that is a condition of the validity of the prayer that you be compos mentis, you're there in the head, and that you not be in janaba. You have to be pure. Right? And so it says إلا عابر سبيل حتى تغتسلوا. The ulama, they disagree about this. According to the Shafi'is, what does this mean? إلا عابر سبيل حتى تغتسلوا. It means you can enter a mosque if you are merely عابر سبيل, if you're simply passing through. So for example, if there was a big mosque, a huge mosque, and there's marketplaces or markets all around the mosque. So you're going from one side to the other side, you're just walking straight through this mosque because you're shopping. So you can be in janaba, it's perfectly fine. Right? Because why? It's because I'm not staying in the mosque. So in the Shafi school, in order to remain in the mosque, you have to be pure. So you can't be when menstruating, and it can't be in janaba, unless you're just passing through, which is okay. She mentions that in the Quran. And then it goes on to the ayat of tayammum. So it mentions, it's what's mad at that same verse, that when you get up to pray, then do this and do this and this and do this. فَإِن لَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً. So then if you've touched your private part, you've gone to the bathroom or you've touched women, فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً, and then you can't find any water. So we mentioned that this tells us that, well, that water is the only thing you could possibly use, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't say, well, if you can't find water, then use milk. Or if you can't use water, then use vinegar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you can't use water, you can't find any water, فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا, then look for that that goes up and is good. What does that mean, that goes up and is good? Sa'ada means to go up. So what does that mean? According to many of the ulama, or majority of the ulama, it means dust. Right? You're looking for dust. So if you don't have any water to purify yourself with, what do you use? Well, you're in the desert, you're in the dry place, you use dust. You get dust, and you wipe your face, you get dust, and you wipe your arms up to your elbow. And that's called tayammum. Right? So everybody agrees we can use dust. Right? And that sa'id tayyiban sa'ada means the dust that rises. Right? Now many of the ulama, they said, yeah, but it's anything that rises up from the face of the earth, such as stones, for example. So a stone by itself is fine, even if there's no dust on it, according to many of the ulama. According to Malikis and Hanafis, it's perfectly fine. Right? And that's a very useful dispensation to use when you're in hospital. It's difficult to bring dust, for example, in the hospital to make tayammum or earth, but rather what you do is you just have a little stone and you wipe your hand, do your face, do your arms, and alhamdulillah, you have wudu if you need to make wudu, and you have ghusl if you need to make ghusl. So it says فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ مِنْهُ. Right, so we mentioned before that in wudu, that this is your yad. This is your yad. Right? And so the issue is, in the verse about wudu, it says, do your yad, which is a fingertip all the way to shoulder, up to the elbow. So we know what that meant. The issue here doesn't say where. It just says wipe. So it says wipe your faces and your arm, all the way up to here. You do all of this. Right? Is that what you do? And so everybody said, no, of course you don't do that. Okay, well, where do you stop then? So, well, the majority of the ulama, they said, well, in wudu, they already told us where you stop at. So tayammum is a replacement for wudu. Tayammum is a replacement for wudu. So if you can't make wudu, you make tayammum, right? And so given that in wudu you wash this up to your elbow, then logically then tayammum we do the same thing. Okay. Now, other of the ulama, they said no. There's hadiths that indicate that the Prophet just did his hand, sufficient to do your hand. Right. Majority of the ulama, they say fingers to the elbows, which is the position of the Hanafis and the Shafi'is, and I'm not sure about the Hanbali school, or the Maliki school. One of the two schools, they say it's just your hands, and this is the position of Imam Nawawi. Imam Nawawi said you can just do the hands. So you get dust into your face, you get dust and just do your hands. That will be sufficient. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says a very, very important principle, which is ما يريد الله ليجعل عليكم من حرج. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want to make any difficulty in you whatsoever. ولكن يريد ليطهركم, but He wants that you should purify yourself. وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتُهُ عَلَيْكُمْ, that He might complete His blessing upon you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, that happily you might give thanks. So this is a qaida fiqhiyya, right? So we have to understand that fiqh works on 3 levels, or 4 levels, you could say, right? There is ahkam shar'iyya, halal and haram. This is halal, this is haram. And there are qawaid usuliyya, interpretive principles. Interpretive principles, we apply them to the primary text and we get the conclusion. So we have a we have an interpretive principle. We apply that to the text, the Quran and Hadith, and we get a conclusion. The conclusion is ahkam shar'iyya, halal, haram. And then when we look very carefully at this halal, haram, we realize that there are certain systems. There are qawaid, there are principles that the Sharia keeps spelling out again and again and again and again and again. One of these things is al-mashaqqatu tajlibu at-taysir. The difficulty should call for ease. So whenever there's recurrent and widespread difficulty, the Sharia removes that, right? Unless there's some particular benefit in it, right? So for example, we mentioned with wudu, why is it you don't have to wash inside your beard? It's difficult. Why is it, for example, in the Shafi school, they say you have to be certain that you washed your arm. You don't have to be certain you washed your whole arm. Why? Because it'll be difficult. You have to be certain that you've washed your arm. Have you washed your arm? Yes. Wallahi, wallahi. Okay, did you wash every single speck of your arm? Yes. Okay, swear by Allah, I can't. Okay, don't worry about it. Why? It's difficult. Right? Raf al-haraj. The Sharia, countless times we find that the Sharia says this thing's difficult, it's overlooked. The Sahaba who were on jihad and they had a really bad itch and they wanted to wear silk because it would stop the itch, the Prophet said, fine, it's difficult, don't worry about it. Right? It's a difficulty for you. Why is it that you can shorten prayers or join prayers on travel? Because it's difficult. Why is it that you can break your fast if you're traveling? Because it's difficult. Right? So the deen is hard, but it's not difficult. The deen is hard, but it's not difficult, right? So we mentioned 3 levels. We said what? Halal, haram that we usually interact with. Bottom level below that, which is al-qawaid al-usuliyya, interpretive principles. And above that, al-qawaid al-fiqhiyya, right? The system of how fiqh works. Right? So the system, for example, al-yaqeen la yazulu bil-shak, certainty is not lifted by doubt. It's a principle. Okay, well, okay, apply it then. Well, it comes here in wudu, look, I'm not sure if I broke my wudu. Okay, you still have wudu then. Not sure if he divorced his wife. That means he's still married. Not sure if the contract was valid or not. Okay, well, did the contract happen? Yeah. Okay, the default of the contract is valid. Okay, but you debate the contract happened, but was it for 500 or 550? Okay, well, there's a debate. Where's the default? The default is that they both are growing 500 and the 50 is extra. Okay, well, certainty is not lifted by doubt. We're certain there's 500 and we doubt whether there's an extra 50. So that's the default, etc. Countless principles. Somebody disappears. Can you inherit from them? What do you do? Default is they're still alive. Certainty that they were alive is not lifted by the doubt that they may be dead, right, etc. And so countless scenarios in fiqh of certainty is not lifted by doubt. Right? Tabi', that which is secondary is simply secondary. Right? So for example, I cannot have a contract with you that you're going to pay me a nebulous salary. So you're going to pay me this, you're going to pay me that. Like I'm going to do X, and you're going to give me Y. But can you have a bonus? Yeah, why not? Okay, well, isn't that the same? If you give me a bonus, say, well, if you get this, if you perform like this, you're going to get a bonus. Fantastic, great. So how is that not the same? How is that not haram? So why? Because a tabi', that which is secondary, the bonus was secondary, is secondary. It's something else. It's not a part of the essential contract. So it's fine. And there's many scenarios like that. Tabi'. That which is secondary is dealt with as a secondary thing. لِيُطَهِّرَكُمْ وَيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتُهُ عَلَيْكُمْ, that he might perfect his blessing upon you. Inshallah, we'll stop here. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Okay, جزاكم خير. Did we have any questions? Where's the chat? That's not the chat. No. We'll stop there, inshallah. Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.